Welcome, everyone, to the Rosie and Bill Show. Our guests this week are incredible talents in their own right as individuals, but together, they take things to a whole new level. They each have their own stories of resilience, faith, and success. But as I said, together, they are a shining example of what true love looks like and what the possibilities in life can be. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show, Kelly Lang and T.G. Sheppard. Kelly and T.G., welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
What a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Wow. Where do I send the check? And that is a great introduction.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And we are so happy to have you both with us. And I'll tell you, we've got a lot that we want to talk with you about. Sure. And if it's okay, what I'd like to do is start off with a word that's actually in the title of your new album, Chemistry. And specifically the chemistry between you guys as a couple and how you are together. Now, prior to getting married, you dated for several years. And during that time, you went through some pretty difficult times together. Cancer diagnosis for Kelly, financial difficulties for TG, but you made it through. So my question is, how were you able to make it through those difficult times, and what did you learn about each other along the way?
I think the way to make it through difficult times is to lean on your faith.
I was going to say our relationship with God, we really learned to really trust him and really lay it down. You know, it was our lives were at stake and our egos were at stake, I suppose, you know, in some ways. And he really brought us through, and we're very humbled by that.
Well, you know, I went through the financial thing that a lot of people goes through, and especially people in our business. You rely on a lot of people to help you with your finances and things. I actually was the one that made the mistakes myself in trusting the wrong people. But financial things are so easy to overcome. I learned that from one of my dearest friends, Dave Ramsey, who is a close friend. And who went bankrupt several times and always bounced back. And we've managed to do the same thing because we believed that we could. And financial is easy to overcome compared to what Kelly had to overcome with her cancer diagnosis. That was a much more painful time than it was for me financially.
It's been coming up, it's going to be 20 years
since
my diagnosis.
Yes.
So
yes.
I am, we can now sit back and go, you know, wow, we have made it through things like that, but you hold your breath for a very long time. And, you know, in respect to him and what he went through, that's very humiliating and humbling to talk about it out loud as a man, as a provider. And I just am so proud of him as my partner, because I think it's helped other men or other people that might be struggling financially to say, hey, you know what, TG did that and he's okay and he made it through. And we just want to be a good testimony for other people that may be watching our relationship and hopefully be of inspiration to somebody, whether it be health issues or financial issues. I mean, why do we go through bad things? Maybe to help somebody else through them. You know, that's what our meaning was for.
Always to help someone else get through a tough time and maybe learn from our experiences in some way. So, the financial thing was very easy, but
and it brought us closer together, I will say.
It did.
And we realized, as a matter of fact, we realized that we actually like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and we really like dollar cheeseburgers. So, matter of fact, you're having a peanut butter and jelly for dinner tonight.
I know, with Cheetos. Thank you very much. And I enjoyed that.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we also appreciate our first and longest running sponsor of the show, Tom and his team of insurance professionals at the Malin Agency. If world-class customer service and doing business with someone you can trust is important to you, give Tom and his team a call today for all your insurance needs.
You know, as I'm listening to the both of you, the first thing that strikes me is that you're both taking the opportunity to build up and support your partner.
You have
That's
to.
Oh,
first
yeah.
and
You know,
foremost.
so many people get in the habit of teasingly cutting their partners down, and that can be a disease. I think it really can make a real problem within, you know, within a relationship if you're not catching that. And I think if you elevate your partner, it really it will grow the relationship in a positive way.
Well, not just your partner, but I think in
Everybody.
your relationships, even with your friends and your family. Anytime you can walk up to someone who is having a difficult time in life and elevate them in any way, that is, to me, that's what I live for.
Yeah, we
know,
both love to build people up.
We love to fill people up and lift them up and to help people.
Not give a false sense of security, but you know, if you're not like sometimes if you just say, if you give your smile away, your smile's free, you know, that might be the only person that smiles at you that day. Or if you give somebody a compliment, they might really needed a compliment and it was nothing off of you, you know. So we really pray and look for circumstances to be of help to people in that way.
I love that. And I do love, TG, that you have had the courage to share your story. Well, both of you, obviously, because neither one of them are easy to share. But, you know, there are many people who get caught in the ego or the pride of it, and not maybe even knowingly, but they feel like such a failure when something financial goes awry. And that things didn't turn out, that somehow they should have been able to do better. And people kill themselves over things like,
yeah.
And I just have a lot of admiration. Again, you know, you're downplaying it a little bit, but I think that it you know, bears repeating that it's a really courageous thing to do and to help other people. So hopefully this story gets out to some of our viewers and it can help them to say, hey, it's okay, you know, to have these setbacks.
Well, and it is okay. I mean, it really is,
it's
you
just
know.
money. You know, it doesn't mean that's not who you are. That's not your identity.
It doesn't define who you are. It really doesn't. And Kelly and I talk to each other each day about what I'm about to say now. You know, love the good times, embrace the good times, the good days in your life, because there will be bad days. Okay. But when those bad days come, remember that they're temporary, that the good days will come back around. Just hang on.
Yeah, just one more day.
So just hang on, you know, to whatever you're going through, whether it's good times or bad times, hang tight, because only thing we can really depend on in life is change. And things do change and things will turn around.
I saw something really neat yesterday, where it was saying, somebody said 41, and I was like, what's so significant of 41?
My age.
Me too.
You know, like Noah's Ark was 40 days, 40 nights, but on day 41, everything changed. You know, there's so many descriptions in the Bible that after 40 years, year 41 came and everything changed, you know. So it's a matter of the same concept. It's just hang on, one more day is going to change everything.
Well, it all comes down to just have faith. Just have faith.
Well, and I'll tell you what also I admire so much is a lot of people kind of talk the talk, but the two of you each walk the walk. And as Rosie said earlier, just your willingness to share and be open about some of these difficult things. And I really do believe that you have an impact on so many people. And we're going to touch on a few of those things in a little bit. But TG, I want to say one other thing I just thought of as you were talking. I saw a recent clip where you said something that really resonated with me, especially after taking a diversion in the corporate world for years before coming back and doing this. And you talked about how it's never too late to be what you might have been. And when I heard that, I got goosebumps. And it just reinforced what I've always felt, but hearing it from you just magnified it within me and helped relight.
I'm so glad you picked up on that. That was a quote from T.S. Eliot. And I learned that a long time ago. I have a lot of people who walk up to me, and I know what you're talking about, who walk up to me after a concert at a meet and greet line, and they'll go, you know, I wanted to do what you're doing my whole life. And But now I'm older and it just passed me by, and I always say to them, no, it's not passed you by. You know, when you quit dreaming is when you die. And as long as you're dreaming, you're alive. And it's never too late in life to be who you might have been. So just keep dreaming the dream, you know. So
Well, things might not look like what you thought they were going to look like. You know, I mean, we're like, when I started out in my musical career, in my brain, I was very naive. I thought the music industry was going to look a lot different than my journey has been. It doesn't make me a failure at what I've done. It's just totally different than what my prospect of what it was going to be was like. And maybe you too, I don't know, but you can start at any age. It's just, it might look a little
well,
different,
you know,
but you can still keep going, you know?
I've said this for so long that success is not a place. Success is a
A
journey.
journey for sure.
And it's the journey along the way that is the most enjoyable. If you don't take the time to stop and smell the roses, or to soak in the pain, or soak in the good, you've missed the ride. And you don't want to miss that ride. The journey is the greatest part of success. And so I see very few people who are successful who are totally happy. But if they've experienced the ride along the way, I think they got a lot of fulfillment from it. And that's, to me, it's the ride.
I didn't start off as a songwriter. You know, that was, I didn't even know I had that experience in me. And I never knew I could paint until I was well into my 30s. And it started a whole another path of a career for me. And it's fun to learn. It's fun to not be so narrow-minded on your path, but just try new things and experience life in a different way.
Right. And let it unfold. Well, speaking of being a songwriter, you wrote a song years ago, and then it took on new meaning after and during your battle with cancer.
Yes.
Because of what your husband said. Can you share that story with us?
Well, it wasn't necessarily what he had said, because I had written the song a couple of months maybe before he said it, but I was experiencing breast cancer, and we had not gotten married yet. And I didn't want him to feel burdened by guilt, you know, maybe I should stick around because she's sick, kind of thing. So I thought now's the time for him to leave. It's a time for him to move on. He needs to go on. So I never let him see me cry, and I never let him see me without at least makeup or at least a bandana or a wig on or something at this point. But he was letting himself into my apartment or condo, and he didn't know. I didn't know that he was letting himself in. I was standing there in the bathroom, screaming, crying, looking at myself in the mirror with no hair, no lashes, no brows, no makeup. I had markings all over me and scars, and I was green. I was a very weird shade of green. And he walked in, and I was so embarrassed, you know, taken back. And we never lived together before we got married. So it was really a shock for him, I'm sure too. And he wrapped me up in a white terry cloth robe, and he pulled me down on his lap in the floor of my closet. I had like walk-in closet, and he started rocking me and started kissing me on my bald head. And I was just mortified, you know. I said, please don't look at me. And he says, you are so beautiful. You are everything to me. I'm not going anywhere, which was the title of the song that I had just written. And it obviously brought on a new meaning. And to be honest with you, we weren't married at the time, but boy, did I feel married when he said that. You know, it was a very deep commitment when he said that to me in my heart, you know, and he proved it. He would go to every treatment with me, and before he had a pacemaker put in, he could go into the MRIs with me, and he would hold my little hand and sing to me while I was getting my MRIs done, because I was so scared of him, you know. But it was a journey that I don't want to go through again. Don't get me wrong, but how sweet is that? You know, it was bittersweet, and I can't imagine that he would be able to do. Here he was a single man. He loved him everyone. I mean, come on, you know, he didn't need to be with a bald green girl, you know.
I said this in your book, in my chapter of the book, which is a audio book also, and I got a chance to speak my chapter. You know, the thing about crisis in life is that your partner or your spouse or whoever you're going through life with Also, when you have cancer, like Kelly had, I had cancer also. I didn't feel the emotional pain that she felt, but I did feel some emotional pain. I mean, the physical pain that she felt, but I felt the emotional pain. And so, therefore, you know, it was my job to lift her up and support her and to make sure that she got through this, because once again, as I said earlier, I knew we were going to get through it, and I knew it was temporary and there were better days ahead. And lo and behold, there have been a lot of those days ahead the last 20 years.
Yeah.
We've been
That
very blessed.
said, TG, what do you most admire about Kelly? And Kelly, what do you most admire about TG?
Oh,
Well,
wow.
this'll be fun.
Wow. You want to leave the room? No. I admire her.
You put him on the spot, Rosie.
That's a great question, Rosie. Really, it's a great question. I think I admire her ability to overcome adversity, no matter what it is, whether it's cancer or having a bad day or something happening to a close, dear friend. I mean, she recently lost one of her dearest friends in the world, Olivia Newton-John, and it's just, I don't know if she'll ever get over that, but she's managed to cope with it. So I think her strength as a person to get over adversity is the thing that I love most. But the second most important thing I love, and I want to tell you,
There's more than one.
I love her sense of humor. She is the funniest person that has ever walked into a pair of shoes or even barefoot. She makes me laugh. And to me, laughter is medicine. I think laughter in your life every day keeps you healthy. And she keeps me healthy with a lot of laughter in our home.
Well, I don't take myself very seriously, so
No, you don't.
That's part of it.
All right, so your turn. But what do you?
Man.
Okay. Can you outdo that?
No. We were talking earlier, he's an encourager, and one of my favorite things to do in life, because I know my place in our relationship musically, let's say, I have such respect for his work ethic. He is, I don't care if he's sick and on his deathbed, if he's got a contract, you have been, yes.
Sick the last 3 weeks.
I
just had a knee replacement.
Yeah, and he's doing concerts this week. So that's my point. When he tells you he's going to do something, he will die trying, or he will not, give up until he can say, 100% if he can be there or not. But it's amazing to me that how much I've learned from him, and I can sit back and go, hey, how did it feel when you did this? Or I'm going through this. Can you tell me your advice on how he's always able to see his life again through me. And so there's no competition here between us. And I love that he's constantly supporting my dreams. I have some crazy dreams, guys. I mean, he's always encouraging, and I think anybody that can have a partner like that would be lucky. Yeah.
Wow,
beautiful. Bill, I'm going to give you the floor in just 1 minute. I just want to add what I admire just in meeting you guys for all of 10 minutes, okay, is your faith and your ability to see past the circumstances in front of you.
Well, I think you live long enough and you're afforded that gift of going, oh, phew, we made it through that, and you get a bit more confidence, I guess. And you see God in so many humorous situations that you go, that had to be God. You couldn't have been anything different. So we don't mean to be like Bible thumping kind of people, but we acknowledge all the good. I mean, we're still here in the music business. We've been together. It'll be 24 years in December. That's like a lifetime in the music business.
Sure.
You know, it really is. So we don't take that for granted at all.
That should be your title of a song. We're going to ask you about that later. We're still here, but go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I just have to, before my next question, I just have to make a comment because, and I mean this, I'm a huge fan. I got into country music in the early 90s, and believe it or not, Philadelphia area country really exploded back in those times, and still to this day is huge. But as you guys are talking, I swear there's a song playing in the back of my mind, Shenandoah, I Want to Be Loved Like That. I can't help but think that every time you guys are together, people hear that song playing.
Oh, what a sweet compliment. You know, we had something really sweet happen to us unknowingly. We were in Cracker Barrel one day, and Joe Bonzel of the Oak Ridge Boys walked up to us. We're, longtime friends with the Oaks, and he said, you don't know this, but I saw you and TG walking into a grocery store. I was in my truck, and he said, he opened your door, you hopped out, you patted him on the butt, you grabbed hands, and you walked in the grocery store. He said, you didn't know you were being watched. You weren't on, and just to see you guys organically be affectionate towards each other is really rare. And I thought, we don't even think about that. It's never crossed our minds we don't think we're being watched, obviously, but that was just such a sweet little compliment,
Well, it's not every day that you get the opportunity to marry your friend. And when you marry someone who is already your friend, it really makes for a closer and greater and stronger relationship in your marriage. And we're friends for a long, long time before we ever even thought of marriage. And so therefore, when marriage came, it was really a very easy transition for us.
I beat him down. I bribed him, all this good stuff. I just made it work this time.
It worked. Worked.
Well, it definitely worked. And now I'm going to go back to a word that I used earlier, and that's chemistry. But this time it's chemistry, the Duets collection, the new album. What can you tell us about the album? What went into the songs that you picked, including the most recent single, Because You Love Me, the Celine Dion hit, which I love your guys' version of it, by the way. So how did it come about, and how did you pick the songs?
Actually, the song title, Chemistry, came from Kelly. We were searching so hard on what to call the album because we wanted it to be a word that would signify and depict what the album was.
Or us as a couple.
Couple.
You nailed it.
And she, late one night, she said, I've got the album title. And I said, okay, what is it? She says, Chemistry. And I said, you got it. You nailed it. And as far as the songs itself, these are songs that I think are woven into the tapestry of all of our lives. I mean, a lot of these songs that we have done on this album, even back to It's Too Late Baby back in the 60s. These are songs that really and truly we have caught ourselves whistling, singing, or humming around the house or in the car for years.
Most of them were not even duets to begin with. We just decided that wouldn't that make a cool duet?
Right.
Like Still the One by Shania Twain. It was never a duet.
Or Because You Love Me.
Because You Love Me. Yeah, it was not a duet. So we just thought, what songs move us lyrically? And what's really interesting is when we're putting these together and we're in the studio, we're mindfully thinking about instrumentation or charting or the sound. And we're not really paying attention so much to the lyric, but I caught him and he caught me after Because You Loved Me was final in the studio. We were listening back and I had the biggest lump in my throat. Not because we think our music's that great, but the lyrics really spoke to me because he has said those exact words to me and him, and I thought, what a sweet thing to still be moved by how I feel towards him. And maybe somebody listening will feel that in our music or maybe feel that way towards their partner too. We hope that translates.
So the songs basically are just songs that we've always loved.
Yeah.
And it was just very easy to get in the studio and record those songs because we were familiar with them, have been for, gosh, forever.
And some songs we recorded that we thought would make the album, they didn't. They just didn't. You know, we've been working on it for 2 years, and some of the songs that we cut, we were like, it just doesn't sound like we thought it would. You know,
2 years is a long time to record an album. I mean, really and truly, if you're not careful, you can get away from the feeling of the project if you get too far away from the music. But you know, when you're recording duets, a lot of people don't know this, it's very difficult because a lot of times when you're hearing duet albums, you'll hear modulations in the song, okay, to where they change keys. And the reason for that is that there's not many singers that sing in the same key or are comfortable in the same key. So you're constantly having to make some changes and moves within the song, the structure of the song, to make it fit for each one vocally. So if you catch us going to a different key change in a song, it's because maybe I was more comfortable in the key that we went to, or she was more comfortable.
it works out good though, because I sing low. Like I have a very low register generally. And so we didn't have to do that very often, but it's hard though. I mean, you have to figure out lyrically what sounds best coming from a man's perspective and vice versa. And it's like cutting 2 albums, to be really honest. That's about the bottom line of it.
You know, we were afforded a great luxury on this duet album. The fact that we were able to take 2 years to record the album
and do what we want.
And do what we wanted because we own our own label, our own record label. We have our own in-house management that doesn't dictate to us when and what to do and how to do it. And so,
well, we've been doing it for a really long time, so we have real strong opinions. You know, we're very creative people, and it's nice to be able to have our own ideas of what we want to do without being dictated to the directions.
So we took 2 years to do it. And
it was fun.
It was fun.
You know, it's really funny though. We work extremely different, like total opposites in the studio. Like I fly by the seat of my pants. I know.
Yeah, you do.
I know lyrics. Weirdly, like if I hear a song one time, I generally know it. And my kids are the same way. It's like, almost like a photographic memory kind of way. But he is very specific. If something is written on a paper, even if it's incorrect, he will sing it. It's like if I type up a lyric and I put and or the in there where it's not supposed to be, he will sing it and he will argue till the cows come home.
On the paper.
On the paper, you know. So we butted heads a couple of times about that. I'm like, don't sing it. I had to go in there and scratch it out.
You have to go rewrite it. You got to type it up again.
I had to scratch. Thank goodness for erasers, you know.
And that's why original songs are easier. No one knows if that word's wrong or not when you first put it out.
When you're cutting something that's so iconic, they are waiting for you to make a mistake. So I would have to be very specific, you know.
And another luxury that we were afforded with our albums is the fact that we're able to produce our own albums. And I've produced a lot of my music through the years, #1 records and stuff. And lo and behold, Kelly has become an incredible record producer. And so not only a songwriter and a great singer, but now also an author, but now she's a great record producer. So being in the studio with her, I have complete trust in her. When she says, do you think we ought to change this musically or add this instrument here? Believe me, I'm going to listen because she has an incredible ear.
You know how I've learned you trusted me is because he'll sit there and play on his phone while I'm making big decisions.
Well, I'm a phone guy. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Aren't we all that way?
Well, before we go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question because my family is very big Elvis Presley fans. And we know, TG, that you formed some great relationships with performers over the years. And one of them was that you met Elvis Presley and knew him. And he actually gave you a tour bus, but he also gave you some advice that was really even more important. Can you share that with us?
Well, it became my mantra. It became what I lived by in the 70s. after I'd had a couple of #1 records, late one night, we were sitting in the jungle room at Graceland, and I was so blessed to be able to be with him for years and live at Graceland there with him. He said, "Can I give you some advice?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "If you ever forget where you came from, you are never going to get where you want to go. There's no room for ego in this business, because the fans and the people who give you your life and the magic in your life and your career can take it from you as quickly as they give it if you get to a point to where you think you're better than they are." So he lived by that. There was no ego with Elvis. He was just,
He's
and
the
that's
biggest of the biggest.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what made him one of the biggest was the fact that he was unique. He was the real deal. I mean, when he spoke, he spoke truth. He
Right.
was one of the most devout Christians I've ever known.
How did you two
He
meet?
would sit and read me the scriptures.
She asked how you met.
Oh, I met Elvis at a skating rink one night, and I was standing out front. I was a runaway at 15, and living in alleyways and eating out of garbage cans, really and truly. And I wound up at a skating rink one night. A friend of mine was working there, and I was standing outside at midnight, and the lights were all off, and all these Cadillacs pull up. And Elvis gets out from behind the wheel of the lead Cadillac and walks right up to me with those steel blue eyes. And he says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "They're closing the rink up. I'm leaving." He said, "Oh no, they're opening it up for me." He said, "We're playing a little game in here on roller skates called Kill." And it was actually football on skates. So we skated for several hours.
Did you get hurt? I never
Oh,
asked you.
Lord, yeah. You got matched up bad. But the strange thing is he always won.
Oh, I can't
Oh, yeah.
imagine.
But after we skated for 4 or 5 hours, he says, "Are you hungry?" And of course, those days I was always starving. And he said, "Let's go up to Graceland and have a bite to eat." And again, I can't believe this is happening to me. And so we get in the car and drive up to Graceland and have the famous peanut butter and banana sandwich. And that night we exchanged phone numbers.
You were staying with a buddy.
I was staying with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he said, "Let me have your phone number." And I thought, yeah, sure. You'll never remember who I am. You know, I'm just one of a million faces that you have met in your life. And lo and behold, the next day, I get a phone call. And it was from Charlie Hodge, who was one of the guys that worked for Elvis, who always handed him the scarves on stage. And he said, "Elvis wants to know if you want to go to the movies tonight." And I said, "Sure." He said, "Well, we'll send a car to pick you up." And they did. And that was the start of a friendship that lasted until the day he passed. And
you know what's really strange is that all these years later, Elvis has been gone, what,
45
5 years, something like that. I am friends with Priscilla.
They're very close friends.
So strange that, you know, he had a friendship with her husband, and all these years later, she and I have developed a friendship, and we have such connected, you know, memories. And I wasn't there, but he can say, "Yeah, that's when that happened." And, you know, it's a very, it was obviously meant to be, you know, that we had this,
again,
this
that was
connection.
that was fate and destiny.
Yeah.
Merging in our lives. That was a God thing, believe me, for that to happen. But yeah, I remember the night he gave me the tour bus. He said, you need a bus." And we used to have to travel in 2 cars and strap the drums on top of the car, and Dad would follow us, and he'd get lost going through a large city and show up a day late for the show with the drums. You need to be self-contained. So he bought me my first tour bus to get me started. So I often think that was the catalyst that drove me to any success that I have had, is the fact that if he believed in me enough to do that for me with that magnificent of a gift. I couldn't let him down. I had to make it. So I worked extra hard to try to succeed as a country singer because he believed in me.
One of my favorite stories, if you don't mind me sharing, is he was an executive at RCA Records and had been there for quite some time. Elvis had been one of his acts there too. So he began to sing and he was signed to Motown. Okay. And Motown needed him to come up with a name, you know, to record under. And he says, do you want to record under your original name, Bill Browder? And he says, no, because I work for RCA and that would be a conflict. You know, I don't want them to know I'm recording for somebody else. So he changed his name to T.G. Sheppard and he had success, you know, number ones. And he did not tell anybody, especially Elvis, that this was happening in his life. He wanted to get some success under his belt before anybody was saying anything. So one day he came to Graceland and he heard Elvis say, he had been singing his song around Graceland. Elvis was.
Yeah, the house.
Yeah. And Elvis said, why didn't you tell me you were the T.G. Sheppard guy? And he says, well, Elvis, I was afraid I would lose my job at RCA. And he goes, don't you know I am RCA?
And he was the biggest act they had.
I thought that was so cute, you know?
Yeah. Those were, you don't realize sometimes until something becomes history, how important it was to you. And I didn't realize at the time that I was with him, that I was living history. And now that I look back, I sometimes still have to pinch myself because I used to tell my mom when I was 13 and 14 before I left home, I said, Mom, someday I'm going to meet Elvis and he's going to become my friend.
Oh my gosh.
My mother told me, she said, well, son, I would sure hate for you to get disappointed. And because the chances of you even meeting him, let alone becoming his friend, are pretty slim. I said, nope, it's going to happen. And sure enough, it happened.
It sure did.
It was just
Did he know that it happened?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she knew it happened. Yeah, my mom and dad both knew about my friendship with
Did
him.
you ever say, I told you so?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did. I told her so.
Well, I think you earned that for sure. So listen, guys, I have one last question I'd love to ask for you because Rosie had a chance earlier to kind of put you on the spot. So I'm going to do it in hopefully a fun way. And
Sure.
Kelly, I know you're not by the pool. I know you like to write by the pool from what I've heard.
I'm looking at
I'm
it.
looking at
Okay.
it. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here's my question. If you were to write a song about TG, what would the title be?
I've written a lot of songs about TG already. My hero.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's bottom line. That would be it. My hero.
Wow.
TG, how about you?
I feel the same way. When I first started dating Kelly, I was ready to hang it up. And that was a long time ago. That was 20-something years ago. I told her, I said, the biggest part of my career, Kelly, is behind me. It's not in front of me anymore. And she says, I disagree with you. Biggest part of your career is in front of you, not behind you. So I think.
Perfect Wife? Is that the name of the song?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it would be a song that
Encourager.
I think it would be a song of encouragement or in some way, because she really and truly is the one that really anything that's happened to me in the last 20 years, it's because of her.
A song that has already been written that comes through to my mind is Wind Beneath My Wings. I think we both feel that way. We in different times, one has lifted the other up higher and vice versa. So I don't want to imply that we have the perfect marriage. Nobody does. We're realists.
Sure.
We have things that we don't agree on all the time, but that's the beauty of working through it. You commit and you go through hard times and good times, and the beauty is sticking it out.
Well, it's not every day you get a chance to be married to your best friend who also does what you do for a living.
Yeah, that's
I can be on the road and come in and she'll say, how did it go this weekend? I'll go, well, I played Indianapolis at the so-and-so center. Oh, I remember playing there. She most of the times has played these venues. So it's really a great luxury to be married to somebody who understands everything about what you do for a living as an entertainer. I'm very, very blessed.
That's very important. It does go a long way. And I think that commonality can really help smooth out the rough patches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. We have so enjoyed. We have so many more questions. We definitely have to have you back. But thank you so much for coming and talking to us. And we look forward to hearing the Duets Chemistry album.
It's coming the 28th of June. I can't wait to share that with you.
We're really excited about it. We hope that there will be people that will feel the same way about the songs that we feel as we recorded them. And it's been a real labor of love for us to do this album the last couple of years. And I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed visiting with you both today, Rosie and Bill, because I feel like I've never been to a psychiatrist, but I feel like I've been laying on the couch here and purging myself for the last how long, but it's just a joy to visit with you. It really is a joy.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. And I think I can speak for Bill to say that we have had the benefit of being inspired by the way you both live your lives and the way you love one another.
Wow.
And we thank you so much. And folks, of course, always, we wouldn't be here without you. And we thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
For all those times you stood by me, for all the truth that you made me see, for all the joy you brought to my life, for all the wrong that you made right,
for every dream you made come true, for all the love I found in you.
I'll be forever thankful, baby.
You're the one who held me up, never let me fall. You're the one who saw me through it all.
You were my strength when I was weak. You were my voice when I couldn't speak. You were my eyes when I couldn't see. You saw the best there was in me.
Lifted me up when I couldn't reach. You gave me faith 'cause you believed. I'm everything I am because you love me. Oh.
You gave me wings and made me fly. You touched my hand, I could touch the sky. I lost my faith, you gave it back to me. You said no star was out of reach.
You stood by me and I stood tall. I had your love, I had it all. I'm grateful for each day you gave me.
Maybe I don't know that much, but I know this much is true.
Blessed because I was loved by you.
You were my strength when I was weak.
You were my strength.
You were my voice when I couldn't speak. You were my eyes when I couldn't see. You saw the best there was in me.
Lifted me up when I couldn't reach. You gave me faith 'cause you believe. I'm everything I am because you love me. Oh, you were always there for me, the tender wind that carried me, a light in the dark, shining your love into my life.
You've been my
because you love me. I'm everything I am because you love me.
This week's episode has been brought to you by Doherty & Company Insurance Services for all your business and personal insurance needs. Our friends at Tennis Addiction in Exton, PA. And the Malin Agency, where exceeding expectations is how they do business.